A woman in a cream blazer snapped her fingers at the man plating her risotto and said, "Careful, we don't need your kind touching the good china." The kitchen went quiet enough to hear the gas burners hiss. Chef Elijah Marsh set the plate down without a word, without a flinch, and said only, "Enjoy your meal, ma'am." Nobody in that dining room moved. Waiters froze mid-step. A busboy stopped breathing. Somewhere near the window, a 7-year-old girl in a yellow cardigan was folding a scrap of paper into a tight, careful square. Nobody knew yet who she was. Nobody knew what was in her hand. But in 11 minutes, this room would learn both, and the woman in cream would wish she'd never opened her mouth. What would you have done, standing where Elijah stood, hearing what he heard, saying nothing at all? Rewind 6 hours, back to when the kitchen still smelled like Sunday morning instead of humiliation. Elijah Marsh ran that kitchen the way his mentor once ran hers. Quiet, exact, unshowy. Above the pass, tucked in the breast pocket of his whites, he carried a laminated index card, soft at the corners from 40 years of handling. Ruth Odom's handwriting faded to brown. A gumbo recipe. He touched it before every service, the way other men touch a cross. The woman in cream, Harlan Cross's wife, Deborah, dining alone that Tuesday while Harlan closed a deal upstairs, had complained about everything already. The wine, the weight, the water temperature. She didn't know the card existed. She was about to find out. She found it when she reached across the pass herself, plucked it straight from his pocket like a napkin, and read it aloud in a mocking sing-song, "Ruth's Gumbo, 1979, before crumpling it in one fist and dropping it in the saucepan behind him. "Whoops," she said, and smiled. 60 seconds. That's all it took to grind the corner of 40 years under her heel on the tile. Bystanders looked at their shoes. A line cook's hand shook on the knife. Elijah reached down, picked the card out of the gravy with 2 fingers, and said nothing. Calm is heavier than shouting. Diminishment always sounds smaller than it is. "Your kind, boy, help." 3 words she used on him in under a minute, and every one of them was a tell. But what she didn't know was who was 2 tables over, watching, saying nothing himself. Ruth Odom didn't have a restaurant. She had a diner counter and a 15-year-old runaway who washed her dishes for a meal. She taught him roux the way her own mother taught her, at the same scarred wooden table 40 years before Elijah ever wore a chef's coat. "Burn it and start over," she used to say. "Don't apologize for the burn. Just start over." She died the year he made sous chef. He never told anyone that the card in his pocket was the last thing she ever handed him. 9 minutes left, though Elijah didn't know to count. The girl in yellow crossed the dining room alone, passed her father's empty chair at the bar, and stopped at the pass. She held out the folded square of paper. Elijah crouched to take it, and underneath, in her other small hand, was the ruined recipe card itself, smoothed flat, gravy wiped away. On the back, in a child's uneven print, Grandma Ruth said you'd remember. The room that had gone silent for cruelty went silent again. Differently now, for something nobody could name yet. 2 minutes. Because the man at the bar who'd watched the whole thing without moving finally stood. Harlan Cross set down his glass, walked to his wife's table, and said her name once. Low. Then he turned to the room and said he was the majority investor who'd bought this building 6 weeks ago, quietly, to decide one thing: whether the restaurant's true asset was its name on the awning or the man in the kitchen. Deborah's face drained of every ounce of color in front of the same room that had watched her humiliate him. "Get your coat," Harlan said, not to Elijah, to his own wife. The video from a diner's phone reached 4 million views by Friday. Deborah Cross was dropped from 2 nonprofit boards inside a week. The restaurant group settled with 3 former employees who'd endured the same treatment for years and never had a phone rolling. Harlan didn't rebuild the dining room, he renamed it. Odom's, after the woman who taught a hungry boy to start over, instead of apologizing for the burn. 6 years later, a teenager in a yellow apron plates risotto at that same pass. Laminated card tucked in her own pocket now, a scholarship in her grandmother's name paying her way through culinary school. Nobody snaps their fingers at her. Nobody dares. If this story moved you even a little, hit like, share it with someone who needs the reminder that calm can outlast cruelty, and subscribe for more. Then tell us, what would you have done in Elijah's shoes? Here's what really gets me though. It's not the reversal, It's the 60 seconds before it, when he said nothing and kept working anyway. Tell me honestly in the comments, have you ever had to stay calm through something that should have broken you?